Hello everyone, welcome to the Theory Music School. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel by clicking on that little button in the bottom right-hand corner of the video screen. Also, please notice that you can visit my website and follow me on Twitter through the links provided below. And also, please feel free to leave comments. All right, this video will focus on the cadential 6/4. My previous videos on the passing 6/4 and pedal 6/4 went over general observations of 6/4 sonorities in quite a bit of detail, so I will not do that now. But if you would like to review, a link to those videos is appearing in the top right-hand corner. If there's anything that I would like to emphasize about the cadential 6/4, it's that the bass note is usually doubled in one of the upper three voices. But unlike the pedal 6/4 and passing 6/4, which both are usually metrically unaccented, the cadential 6/4 is usually metrically accented. Okay, I'm going to start in left field just a little bit, but don't worry, it will all make sense in a moment. First, focus on the fairly innocent progression from the predominant 2/6 chord to the dominant triad as seen in example number 1. Listen. Now look at example number 2, where that same 5 chord is now embellished with an accented passing tone, a non-chord tone in the soprano voice. Listen. The 4/3 bass position symbol below the staff reflects the linear quality of the example, illustrating the non-chord tone, which is a 4th above the bass voice, moving down by step to a 3rd above the bass voice. Now listen to example number 3. The 5 chord is now embellished with an accented passing tone, a non-chord tone, but now in the tenor voice. The bass position symbols also reflect this motion with the symbols 6 to 5. D is a 6th above the bass voice and moves down by step to the C, a 5th above the bass voice. Now we will combine both accented passing tones, both of those non-chord tones, so that they occur simultaneously as illustrated in example number 1. Listen. Notice that nothing has changed regarding the function of the underlying harmony. The simultaneous accented passing tones don't obscure the dominant function or the presence of a root position dominant triad embellished by 2 non-chord tones. Listen again. This is the cadential 6/4, where the 6 and 4 bass position symbols refer to non-chord tones, not chord tones, and illustrate the first of 3 analytical approaches to the cadential 6/4 chord to be discussed in this video. Notice that the bass position symbols of 6 and 4 don't equate to a second inversion triad. The 6 and 4 reflect the intervals above the bass note, which are the accented passing tones, non-chord tones, in the tenor and soprano voices, while the 5 and 3 symbols reflect the resolution and the continued stepwise descent of the passing tones in the same voices to a 5th and 3rd above the bass to form the root position dominant triad. I know that was a mouthful. To put it another way, beat 2 consists of a dominant triad in root position embellished by 2 accented passing tones, 2 non-chord tones. Part of the confusion stems from mistakenly assuming that figured bass symbols indicate the position or inversion of a chord instead of intervals above the bass note. Those intervals above the bass could be chord tones, or they could be non-chord tones, depending on the context. However, the confusion is understandable, as most likely students up to this point in their study have been given ample opportunities to make this mistaken association. They might be quite attached to the idea that 6/4 means second inversion, and they may resist attempts to convince them otherwise. Perhaps in response to this reality, some theorists embrace other analytical approaches by treating the 6th above the bass and the 4th above the bass as chord tones. and thus the cadential 6/4 as a second inversion tonic triad that progresses to the dominant as seen in example number 2. It allows students to think of the verticality on beat 2 as a chord with a chordal root of B flat, thus concluding a tonic triad in second inversion progressing to a root position dominant triad with the chordal root of F. At the moment, this analytical approach to the cadential 6/4 seems to have fallen out of favor, as the analysis contradicts the listener's aural perception of a dominant functioning musical event, with the 6th and 4th above the bass as non-chord tones. A third analytical approach to the cadential 6/4 is seen in example number 3, and it is a quasi-combination of approaches 1 and 2. This method treats the cadential 6/4 as a two-chord entity that taken together has a dominant function, illustrated by the Roman numeral 5 that brackets the two vertical moments in the second half of the measure. This analytical approach is both problematic and somewhat clever, actually. It allows for the continued mistaken association that figured bass symbols equate chord tones and thus chord position and inversion symbols. But the approach also acknowledges today's trend of analyzing the cadential 6/4 as a dominant through the bracketing of the two verticalities into a single unit. Much more could be said about all three of these approaches, but that's for another video. For now, let me just say that the first method is by far the best. I like this analytical approach because it best reflects the function of the cadential 6/4 as a dominant. It also, and this is a big one for me personally, illustrates clearly and reinforces the most likely voice leading of the cadential 6/4, with the 6th and 4th above the bass moving down by step to a 5th and 3rd above the bass. All that being said, however, in my class, we won't be using this method at all. Instead, we will be applying method number 3 to be consistent with the textbook we are using, which means we will be analyzing the cadential 6/4 as a second inversion triad. While this video has introduced the cadential 6/4, please continue to the next video, which will focus on the voice leading of the cadential 6/4. Thank you very much for watching, and please don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel.